Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Botcast Football Show, the show where we talk about all things related to Bristol United and a bit of football in general. Today, once again, I am joined by the Bristol United manager, John Gilbertson. John, how are you, mate?
I'm not too bad, James, thank you.
Good weekend?
Yeah, great weekend, really.
Yeah,
Rovers winning, Bristol United winning, so yeah, good weekend.
And Spurs won Friday night?
And Spurs won Friday night, and I'm not going to mention the other Bristol team's result weekend, but you don't get much better for me.
I watched Bristol City on Saturday, and I thought we played all right in certain parts of the game, but we just have got no threat up front at the moment, and we got what we like in football. Normally, you get what you deserve, don't you? So,
yeah.
But I'm glad you had a good weekend, mate. And as always, let's start the pod with a mental health and wellbeing check on a scale of 1 to 10. How are you?
A good strong 9 at the moment. Yeah,
happy days. And that's for a Monday. That's not bad at all, is it? Let's be honest. So
no,
happy days. Yeah, and I'm probably about 7. I suppose a bit of that usual Monday sort of feel, but it's not raining, so could be worse, couldn't it? Could always be worse.
Could be worse.
Right, so there's only one place to start really, and that is with the great win on Saturday away at Little Stoke.
Line reserves.
Sorry, of course. Sorry, line reserves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to give us a sort of overview of the game and tell us how it went, please?
Yeah, it was another great win, back-to-back wins now. So we know the season ain't started in exactly how we wanted. And a couple of weeks ago, as I covered on last week's podcast, we sort of had a big reset, and this was the second game following that. So we started off with a great win, and this week was going to be another toughish game away from home. And delighted that we come away with a 5-2 victory. It was good, solid performance. Pleased with the performance to an extent. I don't think we were so good as we was the week before, and I think we can be a hell of a lot better. But it's small baby steps at the moment. It's starting back to basics, and it was not just going to be suddenly sort of like Man City overnight. It's going to get some good results and good performances, and then some not so good results and good performances. But overall, I'm really pleased. 5 goals scored away from home, which is pleasing.
Decent goals as well, if I must say.
Yeah, some nice goals in there. So
yeah.
A couple of nice moves and sort of good performances throughout. I think we missed our captain this week, Callum. Callum Rowan wasn't there this week, and I knew he's probably up there with 1 or 2 for the player of our season so far. So I knew Callum was going to be a big miss to the side, and we did miss him. But nevertheless, I mean, the side we put out was a strong side, and went and sort of got the job done, really. And I said, although I felt it wasn't so strong as our performance last week, in all fairness, it's sort of sitting down and watching the game again. It's a million times better than what we've been producing so far. So, like I said, it's just small positive steps at the moment.
Yeah, and like you said, that's two wins on the banks. With how many goals is that in 2 games? So 10 goals in 2 games?
Yeah. So so it's not,
which
not
is no, it can't be knocked really, can it? And like I said, I mean, I wasn't there on Saturday, as you know, but I watched the game last night on YouTube. And if anybody wants to go on YouTube and watch it, like with all your social media, is all available to watch. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it, to be honest with you. I mean, like I said, I thought there was some good goals. I thought one thing that struck me was the distribution from your goalkeeper. It was very good.
Reece. Yeah, we got a good goalie in Reece.
Because he got the first goal going, didn't he, with the ball out, and then I wouldn't say it was Route 1 football, but it was direct football. But I don't mean that negatively. It was direct and very effective.
Yeah, it's the one thing we possess, and anybody who watches us know, we've got a really good goalie in Reece Tamlin. He's an excellent goalie, and although he's an excellent sort of shot stopper and commanding his area, he's superb at that. What I do like with Reece, we play sometimes a dangerous game, and I'm asking the goalies to play with their feet a lot. And I'm not trying to be Pep or Man City. It's just the way we set up.
Yeah.
And one strong aspect of Reece's game is he's brilliant with his left and right foot. And it showed in that goal. I mean, he picks the ball up and pings a set of direct ball down the channels for George PC to pick up, and George sort of superbly skinned his man and put a lovely cross in and a great header from Tom Blake, and it was a great first goal. But it goes to show you, I mean, we put the emphasis on playing football, and we do, but it don't always mean 5-10 yard passing. Sometimes with a purposely hit direct longer pass, it's just as good as a 5-yard pass if it's done on purpose.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you can play 100 passes around the back and not get anywhere, can't you? So like you just said, the word purpose, there's got to be a purpose to everything you do, hasn't it? So and just on that, obviously training tomorrow night. When you're training, I mean, again, I've seen some of the videos that you put on YouTube with the shooting drills and the different sort of things you do work on in training. Do you have sort of like, what's the right way to put this? Do you have department training? So do the defence train together? Do the midfield, strikers, goalkeepers, or is it just a collective where they all work on one thing?
It's a mixture of all of that. Sometimes I have the whole team in and train as a whole, which last sort of the training session it was a whole. But from time to time, then we will break it up where normally sort of Sam Morgan, who's our big centre half, a very experienced, very good player. He'll take some of the defenders for me, and so he'll take the defensive side and coach shape and anything with body shape tackling, whilst I'm working with the midfielders and attackers. So we do split it up. It depends on my frustrating part of sort of this level is we only get the players once a week, twice a week, sometimes with training, and you're trying to fit a lot of things in that session where. I mean, if I had my way, I'd have training sort of every night where you can really sort of be coaching players with so much more time to do things. But it's a mix up of a multitude of things, and you'll see, like I said, this week we concentrated on a bit of the sort of attacking movement and shooting, and then a little bit of sort of back to basics in terms of movement, being light on your feet, and sort of how to jockey. And it's just taking one sort of aspect at a time over several training sessions. But
of course, but it all comes together in the end, doesn't it? So and the weekend saw the club move up to 9th in the table on 10 points. Which again is progress. And looking at the table as I was earlier, it's not a lot in it really, is there?
No, and it's sort of it's early days. I think, as I said, we're about 5 points off of top spot. 7 points off top spot with a game in hand. But it's early days. It's not sort of the beginning of the season because we're 6, 7, 8 games in for some teams. But there is a long way to go, and I think this division more than ever this year. You can see it's pretty close, really, right from bottom to top. And I think teams are going to take points off each other, which is going to be a big help for the chasing pack coming sort of towards the end of the season. There's nobody, one or two sides, what looks like just dominating and running away with it. I know Parkmill was got an impressive record to start with, but I mean
they're top on 17 points, but like you said, only 7 point difference. And one of the teams, Made Forever, who I watched you play the other week, they played 10 games, so they seem to have played quite a bit more than anybody else.
Yeah, and and that's sometimes like for even sort of talking to myself in terms of what we want to achieve this year, because I said we have taken the pressure off, but there's still ambitions there. And sort of a game or two ago, you're looking at Made Forever and you're thinking, my God, like they're already pulling away from us. Can we catch them? And sort of within the space of 2 weeks, how quickly it can change. I mean, I think we're 6 points behind them with 3 games in hand. So that's how quick it could change week upon week, really. And I think there is all to play for. Obviously, the people at the top got a nice starting advantage with the points, but it's not football to go yet.
Yeah, because at the weekend, there wasn't a lot of games played the weekend, was there?
No, I think we're getting to that sort of time of year where there's cup games being scheduled in, like the GFA Cup, Somerset Cup. So I think you're going to have a mixture of some games called off with pitches, weather going forward, some cup games. So this is why I think you tend to get some teams playing 4, like 5, 6 games, some teams 10 games. It's just depends on how it's set up and who's playing who and what cup.
Yeah, when you're just looking at the games that were played Saturday, Partnell played, but their game was abandoned. So, which I know I haven't covered a couple of clubs on Saturday because the weather was pretty. It wasn't very nice,
Yeah.
was it? Put it that way.
No, we had a pretty decent first half at our game, and it was a nice sort of bright day. And then second half, I mean, it was horrendous, and it was belting down with rain and quite windy, and the pitch held up okay, but the conditions wasn't
Not ideal.
Wasn't great at all.
No, and just going back to fixtures and so on, this coming weekend, the 4th of November, you're currently looking for a friendly, aren't you? Is that right?
We are, yeah. We was going to. I think we're sort of scheduled to play Hannam in the league, but they're in the GFA Cup this week, so that game takes priority over the league. So we are looking for a friendly game. We're looking for sort of a team similar levels to us because I've got a few players away actually myself, and it's a good chance for a friendly to sort of get in some of the minutes into the legs of people who ain't necessarily starting week in and week out or getting 20, 30 minutes. So, yeah, so if anybody's listening, feel free to sort of reach out to me or the club on Twitter or any of our social media channels. And I've got a pitch booked at home for a 2 p.m. kickoff, so we're just searching for opponents, really.
And is that the case for the 11th as well?
It is, yeah. So back-to-back weeks now. We've got no league, no fixture planned for this forthcoming Saturday or the week after. So again, I'll be doing something similar next week, looking for an opponent, and then the week after we're back to normal. We're actually in the Somerset Cup ourselves, away to Ilchester the week after. So it's a good 3 and a bit, nearly 4 weeks until we play our next league game now. So I want to keep us get some friendlies with the cup game, keep us on the ball and keep us fresh.
Yeah, definitely. It makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Try and keep the momentum going, even if it's friendlies and you get the win, it's still a win, isn't it? So
absolutely.
Your home pitch, John, because I haven't actually, I've seen your home games on YouTube, but for all my sins, I haven't been to a home game live. Do you play on the 4G or the grass, or does it depend on what pitch you get allocated?
No, our own pitch is grass. So we've got a grass pitch which we play on throughout the season.
Yeah.
I think you'll see sometimes in our pre-season friendlies, or if there is extremely bad weather that the pitch is unplayable, then we move to the 4G at Imperial Sports.
Right, okay,
so the reason we play a lot of the summer on that is because they're reseeding our pitch and they like to obviously give it the care that it needs. So we move to 4G. But now all League and Cup games throughout the season, unless there's a chance of postponing the game and the 4G's free, but we'll be on grass.
I suppose it's nice to have that option as well, isn't it? Because obviously, like you said, we are getting to the time of year and time of season where games will start getting postponed because of the weather.
Yeah, and Matt, we've got a good relationship with Matt, who manages all that in Imperial Sports Ground, and he's superb, Matt, and looks after us well. And and it's just handy to winter months. We've known it over the years where you could feasibly go sort of 6 to 7 weeks without a game if we have a really bad winter. So
it's crazy.
It's nice to still keep the games coming and stop the backlog towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, my personal opinion is nothing beats the grass for a game of football. You don't get the same game on a artificial pitch, do you? But
no. I mean, I love both. I love 4G in terms of play as a player myself. In terms of it's just so true and flat for passing. So that part of me loves the 4G. But then you haven't got. It's not grass, so it's never going to be grass. But
it's not a bad it's not a bad alternative, is it? I suppose that's the
not at all.
Probably way to put it. So just to recap, this Saturday, 4th of November and the 11th of November, you're looking for friendlies. You've got the home pitch booked for this Saturday. Have you got the home pitch booked for the following Saturday?
I don't know at this stage, so I'm waiting. So I've made inquiries and I'm waiting for some for Matt to come back up to me. But
you're also open to playing away on the 11th, I take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
cool.
If a team wants to again reach out to us, yeah, it doesn't really make much difference to us. We're happy to, as long as we get a game.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, at some point this week, I'm going to organise a pod special with Ash and Sam so that everybody can get to know them and have a chat with them. So I'm looking forward to that. And and you've got a charity event in November, haven't you?
Yeah, so we've just started sort of putting the information out there now. So it's Sunday the 26th, I think it is, of November. So we've teamed up with, as you know, James, I mean, we're a big sort of, we do a lot for charity and sort of select random charities that's close to us. And this forthcoming one is going to be an 8-hour constant game of football. So it's, I think in the title it sounds probably, well, that's okay. I think when you really think about a constant football game for 8 hours, it's insane. So yeah, and we've teamed up with the Alzheimer's Society, which is obviously there's a lot going on with sort of dementia in sport and football and stuff like that. So we felt that was a very sort of worthy cause to team up with this time. And yeah, it's going great guns at the moment. So we're hoping to get a few things on the day for some people to come and watch us. But we do realise this is not a summer event where we're really sort of marketing for the public to come and watch us and help us raise money, because there ain't many in November is going to want to watch an 8-hour game of football. So we've had a little tweak around, and we've tasked the players this time to start raising money themselves, and they've been targeted with raising £50 each to play in this sort of 8-hour game of football. And we thought it might be a bit of a tall order, but the early stages, people are coming back, and of quite a few individuals, they've raised like 100, 150, 200, 250 already.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, it's going to be a great day. Yours truly will be attempting to play as much as possible.
I was just going to ask you that. I didn't think you'd be able to go 8 hours watching people play without having to go yourself. So.
No, I got our job to go 8 hours with staying awake, let alone playing football. But I've started my walks. I'm an old man up to these younger ones, but I've started going out walking, and I'm gonna put myself through it as much as my body can take it.
Fair enough.
So, but yeah, it is a great cause and another good event.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Is the game sort of in club game? Is it 11-a-side?
No, we're gonna be looking probably about a 7-a-side.
So it'd be two teams. Your team split in two, basically, sort of thing.
Yeah. So it's all in house. So it'll be split in two, and I think the 11-a-side pitch. One, we couldn't guarantee it with the weather. So it was the decision sort of made on a bit of a smaller pitch, which should keep the game a bit more interesting, and is not a big pitch for us to be covering and killing ourselves at the same time.
Because it is a long time, isn't it? 8 hours is a long time to be doing anything, let alone.
Yeah, so I can remember seeing a video, I think, and it was Alan Shearer, and he hasn't long retired, and I think they attempted it with rolling subs. And at the time I thought, well, I'd do that. But when you're talking of an ex-pro, they're extremely fit, and he looked absolutely shattered. So I think it's going to be an incredibly hard. And we've had one or two players, and I'm going to call him out now. I know Billy Gilbertson. He's right from the start. He said he's going to play all 8 hours, no problem.
Right. Okay.
So watch this space, because I think he's living in dreamland. But yeah, I'm sure a few of them think they're going to breeze it, but I think they're going to be in for a bit of a shock.
I mean, even being in goal for 8 hours would be tiring.
Yeah, and bear in mind, we're playing on the Saturday before as well. So
yeah, I was just thinking that. Yeah.
So, and to help Billy play that full 8 hours, I might have to drop him from the Saturday game. I'm sure he's going to love that.
Well, I'm sure it'll be a good occasion, and if anybody wants to pop up, it'll be at the home at Imperial, yeah.
Yeah, Imperial.
Obviously, we mentioned it before as well, but on the 26th of November, a date for the diary, at Imperial. If anybody wants to go along and watch, I'm sure everybody's welcome. I'm saying this, but I'm sure they are welcome, aren't they?
Yeah, we welcome everybody
Yep.
to cheer us on, boo us, whatever you want to do.
Pick
We're
Billy up
welcome.
off the floor.
Yeah,
And just away from Bristol United, obviously we spoke last week. You're Rovers, I'm City. It's been a busy week in terms of manager departures at both clubs. Obviously, Joey Barton left last week,
yeah.
and Nigel Pearson left yesterday. So, what's your? I know you're not particularly worried about City. So, what's your thoughts on Barton? Right decision, wrong decision?
Well, first of all, I just want to lay any fears that I'm not going to be leaving Bristol United to take either City or Rovers. So I know the players and Sam and Ash is going to be frightened to death of losing me. So I just want to put that on record now. I'm not taking over.
Right. We got an
But yeah,
exclusive on the pod, yeah.
yes. But no, it is a bit of a shock with Barton, but I'm not totally shocked. Being close to it, and you don't need to be a Rovers fan to know what Joey Barton's about. And
Yeah.
although there hasn't been many issues, he's an abrasive character, and just a little bit lately, I felt there's a few things which is like a cardinal sin for managers of calling players out on post-match interviews and not just calling them out, but really tearing them to shreds and being a bit degrading and sort of staying close to the rumours, what you hear around your football club. And this was going on about 4 or 5 days before, where I know two of the fans was starting to not turn, but say things. And my gut feeling is the owners have come out and said it's footballing matters, and I'm sure it is to a degree. I still think there's something a little bit more um, than meets the eye with Barton sacking allegedly called Steve Evans, I think, a fat man and a weeble in the week, which is, I mean, as a massive Rovers fan who's proud of your club, I don't like to see that. I think that's embarrassing
Yeah.
that a manager's calling a fellow manager that. And my opinion, if I was the owner of the Rovers, I would sack him on the spot and make it known why, because there's no need of that. We all know passions is involved in the game, and sometimes we're all idiots and get heated. But 30 minutes after a game, when you've had time to come down to lower yourself to say things like that, and
Yeah.
again, I'll put in allegedly because I didn't hear it, but my gut feeling is the new owners of Rovers, they didn't hire Barton, and I'm just wondering whether they had enough of that kind of behaviour. Probably put up with it if they was near the top, but not being near the top, then it makes it easier decision.
Yeah, I mean, I
So
think that's quite similar to what's happened at City as well. Really, I don't think they said it was
yeah,
because of the results, and results haven't been great. That really, it weren't lost 5 out of the last 7 league games.
yeah.
The football's been alright at times, but it's been not so good at the majority of times. Probably, I would say personally. Um, I suppose the question is for both of them. I mean, it's all very well. Everybody's got an opinion on who the right man is and all that, but who who are they both going to get to replace them? Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think, like, being honest and being sensible now, I think City's in a position where actually I think they could probably replace Pearson with a quite a respectable candidate. City's still going to be, they're not the biggest side in the championship. They're nowhere near the biggest side,
No.
but they're still a decent sized side that's going to attract a decent caliber of manager. And I know, like John Eustace, who just left Birmingham's mentioned and stuff. So my gut feeling is I think City will be all right with it in terms of replacing Pearson with a similar manager or even a little bit better of a manager.
Yeah.
I think Rovers sometimes being that lower down again, that league down again, you could struggle because whether you like Barton or no, he was certainly, he made the club and team so much more professional than it was 2 or 3 years ago. I'm not as confident of replacing. You may get a better man manager than Barton and a bit more respectable, yeah, but I'm not necessarily 100% confident of that we actually replace him like for like in terms of a football person. And I know Gary Monk's, I think, hot favourite at the moment. And that would be a bit of a coup, I think, for the Rovers. I know he's been out of management for a couple of years, but I think it's more risky to get a like-for-like replacement for Rovers than it is City, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, when there's a hot favourite with the bookies, there's usually something behind that as well, isn't there?
Yeah, and he's moved in quite. I heard last week again. It's all the rumor mill, but I heard last week that something was with talks with Gary Monk, and I mean, let's see what happens over the coming couple of weeks. I should imagine, but yeah,
Yeah, I don't think either of the teams have messed about too long with getting a manager in, because obviously it's a bit of uncertainty for the club and the fans as well, isn't it? So.
Yeah, well, and how football works now is whether they've already got ideals and replacements lined up. You wouldn't be surprised. If
Not at all. I think City probably have got something lined up to get rid of Pearson, like they have before the international break in a couple of weeks. But we shall see. We shall see. And just on the subject of managers, obviously you're a manager now. Who is your? I don't think I asked you this last week, so apologies if I did. But who's your footballing? Who would you say is the best manager ever, or your footballing manager icon? Should we say?
Yeah, I think it's the same answer for both of those categories. I'm going to show my age a little bit now, but I think it's the legendary Brian Clough.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Sort of in my era of growing up, Cloughy was obviously the main man, managing Notts Forest at the time, and I think he's a very Marmite character, Cloughy. You either sort of love him or hate him. I absolutely loved him, and I don't follow his side. It's nothing to do with me, but I think he had that sort of charisma about him. I found him sort of quite funny to listen to, an intriguing, clever man. And for me, again, probably showing my age, I still think his achievement is probably one of the biggest achievements in world football, of taking Forest from what was then the first division into the second division into the first division,
yeah.
which is the Premiership now.
Yeah.
Winning the league and then going on and recording back-to-back European Cups, which is now the Champions League.
It just wouldn't be done nowadays, would it?
No.
I mean, nothing's impossible, but in football terms, I would say that's probably about as impossible as you can get nowadays.
Yeah, and I think, obviously, I mean, that wasn't his only club. He did it with Derby and took them up and won things. And for me, I mean, there's been some great managers over the years, and like Fergie and stuff like that, and Pep now. And one of my favourites was Terry Venables when he used to manage sort of Spurs in England. But yeah, Cloughy is the one who I still see on YouTube now and watch things, and it brings I don't think, for me, football hasn't been the same since Cloughy retired from football. They ain't seen that the characters seem to have gone out of football now.
Yeah, and to quote Cloughy, I wouldn't say he's the best manager of all time, but he's certainly a top one.
One of my favourite quotes, and yeah, I've even used that quote on my team sometimes.
Yeah.
They looked at me enough to say, like, "What are you on about?" And obviously, I didn't deliver it with the same charisma as Cloughy did.
And about player wise, have you got a footballing idol as a player?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple. One of my favourites was Gaza, Paul Gascoigne, obviously with Spurs. There's a few. I mean, I love Messi. I can't speak highly enough of watching Messi over the last sort of 10, 15 years. I still think one of the all-time greats was Maradona. I was fortunate enough to be of a nice age in 1986 with the World Cup in Mexico, and I know we got dumped out by his handball, but that sort of to be alive and be old enough to witness this birth of Maradona and then see him over the following years, I think he was a genius. I don't love him. He's Argentinian for a start, and
but so is Messi, though. So is Messi. So
yeah. So, but it's you've got to take your hat off to geniuses, and I think Maradona was up there with the best.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Messi, and you can't argue with either of them, can you? You know, and Gaza as well. If Gaza didn't have his demons, he would have been one of the best in the world.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I think so.
That injury and his issues that he's had have sort of blighted his career quite a lot, haven't they? But you can't deny the absolute genius that he had when he was at his peak. So
yeah.
But no, that's good. Good. Good to know. Right, just to wrap up and just go back to Bristol United. So this Saturday coming, no game, but any team who's looking for a friendly, get in touch with John or Bristol United Club on their social media, Facebook, Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, and Instagram. Drop them a message and hopefully something can be sorted. And the same for the following weekend, the 11th of November, which is crazy that we're getting so close to the end of the year. But John, thanks again for joining me this week. Really appreciate it and really enjoyed it. I will speak to you next week, and I will also be back with another Bristol United episode this week at some point with Ash and Sam. Whatever you're up to this week, have a good week. If you're off to a game in the middle of the week, enjoy it, or the weekend, obviously enjoy it as well. And we'll be back next week with another episode. Thanks for listening. Take care and see you again. Cheers.